Yesterday with Susie, we had a great conversation answering the question, do we wear our past? Is that visible to others? And indeed, as I think we both agree, we absolutely do. Today, Susie, welcome back, by the way. Divaoflove.com is your website. Our default reactions. This
Yes, our
sounds
default.
interesting.
Yes. So, we all have default behaviors. If you really think about it, we all have default ways we deal with things. These are behaviors and reactions, especially in challenging situations. It's automatic and we do it without thinking.
Is that kind of
It's
the
some-
old resting bitch face? Like we don't realize we're doing it, but there it is?
I heard recently that I have that and I don't like
Really?
it. So now I try to smile at everybody, but it
I've
may
known
look
you a long
weird.
time. I've never seen you with a resting bitch
I
face.
know. Someone said that to me. They're like, you have an intimidating face. I'm like, but I've been told I was intimidating before, so I don't know. I try not to be. I hope not. I'm
I
not.
don't
I'm
think you are.
nice.
But anyway, no, I've always found you very approachable. Interesting. But different people perceive us different ways.
Of course, and it's
Yep.
their own lens, depending on their own past, their own,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So this default reaction is something that's worked for you in the past, and it's an impulsive defense mechanism. Like, for example, assuming the worst of people. For example, like
Right.
if someone doesn't message you back, automatically they don't like me.
I see where you're going now.
And,
Okay.
you know, automatically you assume the worst. If someone like, if I don't answer the phone when my mom calls, oh my goodness, she keeps calling, she thinks something bad happens. Like,
Right.
no. Yeah. You would jump to conclusions, or sometimes anger is your default reaction. You get angry when something happens that you don't like, or it
Yeah.
triggers something in you.
Yeah.
You always focus on the negative, right? And many of us have that, and you don't realize it.
The minute my Facebook goes quiet, I said something, I've pissed somebody off, words gotten around, everybody's talking about me. I'm serious. I'm
Yeah.
serious. That's just where my brain goes. It's ridiculous, I know, but
Oh
those
yeah.
are my default reactions. We all have
I know.
similar
and
things.
and it depends on something that's inside of us, right?
Yeah.
It's a defense mechanism. It's a way for us to protect ourselves.
Yep.
So in order to change our default, it takes a lot of self-control. Obviously, you have to realize that you're doing it, and it takes intention. We need to stop and think rather than be reactive. And reactive is our default, right?
Mhm.
But we need to stop and think before we react. So being thoughtful, identifying your triggers, and controlling your impulses, it's a good place to start. Your default reaction is like a band-aid, but we need to get to the root of why it's there and solve it. So feeling our feelings, know why we react that way, realize, and it takes time to kind of notice it. Make a list. I do encourage people, make a list of past challenging situations, listing your default reactions to them. Reflect on how a different reaction would work better for you, and
Mm.
make a commitment to yourself to not react impulsively. Think of it as those moments when you think of what to respond or say someone after, you're like, damn, I have my comeback now,
Right? Yes. Or I am notorious for my mouth thinks a lot faster than my brain does. Right?
Yes.
Like there are so many times, and what I've learned, exactly as you said, from looking at past behaviors, I need to take a moment before I react because inevitably I will say something really, really stupid. And as it comes out of my mouth, my brain's going, no, like, bring that back. You can't rewind the transmitter,
I
right?
know.
Yep. But you're right. You're right. You need to recognize it and you need to, once you figure that out, then it becomes a matter of catching yourself in the act, stopping yourself, and taking a different approach.
For sure. I mean, I'm so guilty of being very impulsive since I was a child, and it got me into a lot of trouble.
Huh.
So I learned to stop and think. I don't do it always. Like I still, we all have those moments, but
Sure.
and once I started being more thoughtful, things came out more the way they were supposed to rather than not supposed to. But we're all works in progress, right?
She coaches from a very personal perspective. She's giving you the benefit of her own experiences, and she calls it like she sees it. She's a great coach, available for one-on-ones. You've also got a fantastic empowerment journal, amongst other things, on your website. We'll get to that in just a moment, but I know you always want to leave us with a great little mantra, a little Post-it note for the day, and what is today's?
I will be more self-aware.
You go. Hope you jot that down in crayon on a Post-it note and stick it right in front of you wherever you are. I will be more self-aware. All right, Susie, how do people get in touch?
Divaoflove.com.
Awesome.